This is a 1914 Model T Touring. It's one of 15 million Model Ts that were produced from the years 1908 to 1927. This particular model has been reimagined for the 21st century as there's new headlights, new turn signals, better brakes, and it's really an early 20th century vehicle reimagined for the 21st century auto enthusiast.
As my colleague previously stated, this is a 1914 Model T Touring. And like all Model Ts, it is powered by a 2.7 liter inline four, developing 22 horsepower and about 98 foot-pounds of torque, which may not sound like much compared to today's cars, but back in the day, it was a lot for your average car. There were many cars that had more horsepower, but there were definitely cars that had a lot less. Now, moving a little further back, we come to the transmission, which is under the floorboards here. Now in all Model Ts, it's a 2-speed planetary transmission, which was revolutionary back in the day because it's basically an automatic transmission, but instead of computers shifting the gears for you, you shift it with this pedal here and this lever. Now, what makes that revolutionary is most cars of the day had sliding gear transmissions. They called them crash boxes, and they called them that for a reason. They're known for grinding gears. They're incredibly hard to shift at speed. There's no synchronizers in the transmissions, so you have to match the engine speed to the transmission speeds, and it just gets very hard to drive. Whereas this, all you're doing is pressing a pedal. There's no grinding gears, and once you learn how to drive it, it's pretty much like riding a bicycle. These cars are incredibly rugged due to the simplicity of this 22 horsepower engine and that 2-speed planetary transmission. Now that I've said all this, you all might be wondering, what is a planetary transmission and how does it work? Well, it's best summed up as it works with magic and pixie dust. So let's go over some of the controls on these things. So we'll start at the top here. We got our accelerator, our gas lever. There is no gas pedal. This is how you control the speed of the car. On this side, we have the spark lever, which controls the ignition timing. We have here our handbrake, and it does another feature we'll get to in a second. So we'll start with the pedals here, or we'll go to the pedals now. We got our brake pedal, our reverse pedal, and then over here we have our high gear, low gear pedal. Now the way this works, it works in conjunction with the handbrake lever. When you go all the way to the floor like this, you have low gear. When it's in the middle here, it's in neutral. And then if you hold the pedal and then let your handbrake all the way forward, you can then let the pedal out even further, and that's high gear. And then you're at your highest gear in the car, and you just keep right on going. And you use these gears, you just swap back and forth. So if you come to a hill and you need a lower gear, you just push the pedal down, give it some more gas, and up you go. And then down here on the dashboard, we have a few more controls. You have your ignition, and it's 2 positions. You have battery, and you can hear the coils running now. That's your ignition system. So you put it to the right, that's running off the battery. And then once you're running, the engine has an internal magneto, which then generates its own electricity and keeps the car going. You can hear the coils aren't running now because the engine isn't running. And then we have one more control, which is right here. It actually does 2 jobs. If you pull up for starting, it's a choke for the carburetor, and then it also turns to adjust the mixture on the carburetor so you can get a leaner or richer fuel mixture. And then you have the horn. Alright, so you might be asking, what is it like to drive this thing? Well, it's kind of like riding a bike. It's a little daunting at first, but once you get the hang of everything, it's remarkably easy and comfortable to drive. Everything's right where you want it to be. The steering's not that heavy, even though there's no power steering. Ride's really not that bad for a 100-year-old car. The seats really soak it up. They're nicely sprung. The suspension's not that soft, but it's not that hard either. And I mean, you got great visibility all around you. And even in the wintertime, at least up in the front here, I don't know about on camera, man, but it's not that cold. You got this windshield, you got a little bit of heat from the engine. It's not that bad. So, is the Model T a good car? I say yes. It's got plenty of horsepower for how much it weighs. It climbs any hill, stops reasonably well. This particular one has turn signals so people know what you're doing. You've got headlights so you can see where you're going. No mirrors, don't really need them. I don't care who's behind me anyway. So yeah, it is a really great car. Extremely rugged, very reliable, but there is one major problem with it. It's just something we can't overlook. It's something that's going to affect your day-to-day life. If we just take a look in here, no cup holder. So